Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is GGF bringing you episode 1 of what's going to be a new Let's Try. So this is a game, guys. This is a new game that we're playing that I'm super excited about. I don't usually cover a lot of new games, as you may or may not know, but this is one that I really thought, I'd love to eventually play when it's completed. I think it's in early access right now. I don't know a ton about it because I tend to just kind of jump in and go with the flow, kind of play it blind and stuff like that. So we're going to be playing this blind. I played for a little bit, maybe an hour or so, just kind of feeling my way around. But it's super awesome, guys. I'm so excited by this RPG. So this is episode 1 of Let's Try Dustgrave, a Sandbox RPG. Guys, if I told you this was a turn-based Kenshi, would you believe me? It's sort of like that. Broken items will be costlier to repair. I'm not saying it's exactly like Kenshi, but it's got the vibes. And it's got some features from Kenshi as well. So let's check out the usual stuff here. I've got everything turned up to the highest. Input, you can check the different controls if you want to pause the screen and check them out. I usually am a button pusher rather than a hotkey user, so we're going to jump right into it. Let's hit new game and see what we're greeted with here. So we have available characters. Here's my created character, Elzar. We're going to go ahead and delete them. These are characters that came with the game. Kuin, Nadine, Petra, and Romiolo. And as you can see, you can make very diverse different types of characters. We're going to create our character, though, and jump right in. So again, this is early access, so bear with the things are definitely going to change and stuff like that. There's only a few heads right now. How about that guy right there for the hair? Wow, look at that. That's awesome. That's pretty cool too. I guess we can't. Oh my gosh. There's some wild ones, yo. Pretty cool. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the ponytail / man bun. Main color is good. Oh, this is our main color of our gear. Well, let's see if we can change that. We've got beards. I'm going to say clean shaven. Skin color. Nice range of skin colors. And then hair color. I'm colorblind in real life, so bear with me. I think we want like something like that. So here's metal color of what we're wearing. Let's turn the metal color to like silver. I don't know how to change the outfit. Secondary color. As you can see, it'll change the get up here. I kind of like that color there, and as a secondary, really can't go wrong. Silver. That looks kind of cool. Might want to go darker though on the arms. Maybe something like that. And metal color. I don't see any metal on us. I guess that's why it's not changing anything. But I don't know what that middle strip is, so yeah, I guess that looks decent enough. Unless we want to go more with a beige. You know what, let's make this green and this beige. I'm an earth colors kind of guy. Go with like that. And maybe a lighter green. Something like that. That looks cool, I guess. Alright, so we have to create a name. We're going to be Elzarian. I have to type with one hand. 1 second, guys. Lighting a smoke. So we're going to do a deep dive on this game and check it out a bit. Super cool. Alright, Elzarian is selected. Next, okay, choose a class for your character. Classes grant access to different categories of skill trees and provide unique bonuses or abilities. So this will probably just be an episode for character creation, and then we'll get into the game later. But we have Duelist, an agile fighter. Duelists know how to defend themselves from the enemy while waiting for the perfect moment to strike and get through their enemy's defenses. Then we've got Merchant, a versatile adventurer. Some people travel across the world to find new opportunities and turn them into profit, while city merchants are accustomed to safe routes, some journey across the most dangerous lands known to humankind. Soldier is a melee fighter. Soldiers are trained combatants, individuals who dedicated their life to the battlefield and who survived long enough to become experienced fighters. Sorcerer, there's magic. Witchcraft practitioner. In some cultures and ancient traditions, spellcasters gain their power by getting in contact with mysterious beings of different nature, from gods to demons. Many amongst the Astrolite clergy consider these individuals heretical and blasphemous. A Theurgist, an Astrolite spellcaster. Some Astrolite priests are granted holy powers by the Great Star and revered by many as the embodiment of Astar's power. And then finally, Warrior, an offensive fighter. As opposed to just a melee fighter, warriors are focused on aggressive fighting and can adopt an offensive stance, sacrificing their defenses to deal additional damage, so like kind of a berserker type. We're going to be a merchant, because I tend to like that when that option is available. I tend to pick that. Alright, choose 2 skill trees. There are 3 different categories of skill trees. There's combat, support, and magic. According to your class, you'll access 1 or more of those categories. Each skill tree provides unique skills which will work in conjunction with actions granted by the current equipment. So did you get that? Equipment has actions granted, and then you'll get 2 skill trees that are selected here. Because we picked Adventurer, had I picked a different class, there'd be maybe some different skill trees. And then you get the skills from these that you can level up as well. So very, very cool. Look at all these skill trees, though. I have a little frog in my throat, guys. Bear with me if you hear a little wheezing there. But Assault. Let's go through these all. Combat. A combat skill tree focused on high damage attacks and on blocking and weakening the enemy. Attacks have high damage but lowered critical multiplier. Have a good selection of debuffs that can be inflicted on the enemy, especially for lowering their mobility. Cunning combat. A combat skill tree focused on dealing bleeding damage and weakening enemies with various debuffs. Attacks have low damage, but often deal bleeding damage or debuff their enemies. Many skills can be used to weaken enemies, make them easier to attack, or reduce their morale. Finesse combat. A combat skill tree focused on delivering precise and deadly attacks, exploiting the enemy's weaknesses. Attacks are precise and often have increased critical chance, but they deal less damage. Provides a few debuffs, weakening the enemy's defenses and resistance to damage. Prowess combat. A combat skill tree which sacrifices precision to specialize in raw damage and armor penetration. Attacks have high damage and penetration but lack precision. Many skills have powerful effects but weaken the character. So as you can see, you can mix any of these 2 skill trees and you're going to get some interesting results. So high damage and armor penetration, but lack precision, so you might miss a lot. Then we have Skirmish combat, focused on breaking the enemy formations by moving enemies and debuffing them. Attacks have average stats, but often inflict statuses of different nature, especially push. Almost all skills can be used to push enemies or to debuff them, allowing the rest of the team to finish them. Then we've got Energy, which is magic, a magic skill tree focused on controlling electricity in its many forms. Spells have lower damage but increased penetration and critical multiplier. Has 2 special spells to push or pull enemies. A few spells can debuff or stun enemies. Unlocks a unique action allowing the character to push all enemies in the vicinity. Unlocks a unique dash which can be used to teleport around the battlefield. Skills can be applied to this dash. That's very cool. Then we have fire magic. Allows the character to control ice and fire. Interesting that there's ice there too in the fire tree. Fire spells have increased damage and penetration but lowered precision. A versatile array of spells which can be used to directly damage enemies or weaken them with various statuses. Then there's ice. Magic skill tree allowing the character to control ice and fire. So they specialize in each one like fire and ice, but you can also use the opposite element, it seems. What was energy? Just electricity. So ice spells have decreased damage and increased precision. A versatile array of spells that can be used to directly damage enemies or weaken them with various statuses. Then we have life magic. A magic skill tree allowing the character to harness vital energies, healing and buffing allies. Spells have lower damage but are converted into healing spells. Most spells can either heal allies or grant powerful buffs. Unlocks a unique action giving massive bonuses to the character for a single turn. Then we've got occult magic, so it gets deeper. Allows the character to control the power of death and decay. Spells have lowered penetration but increased critical multiplier. Spell effects are quite versatile. The character can heal or buff allies but also damage and hinder enemies. Unlocks a unique action allowing the character to siphon life from an enemy to heal an ally. Leadership, which is support, focused on applying buffs of various nature on allies. Provides a wide choice of shout actions which can be used on both allies and enemies. Statuses on any kind can be applied on allies and even enemies, allowing the skill tree to be versatile. Mobility support, focused on moving quickly and safely on the battlefield. Provides a wide choice of dash actions, allowing for extreme mobility. Skills provide buffs to the character and even to allies. Safeguard support, focused on protecting the character and their allies. Provides a wide choice of guard and shout actions. Skills can be used to protect the character, their allies, or both of them. Some can also be used to weaken enemies. And finally, tactic, which is support, focused on shouts, capable of helping allies in many ways. Provides a wide array of shout actions which can be used on both allies and enemies. Provides strong offensive bonuses to allied characters. So if we go back and say we pick Duelist, I think, yep, it'll pick different ones. I mean, they're the same ones, but it'll pick a different array of what they can use. So Adventurer can use magic, merchant, and what was the other one? Combat. So if we pick like a warrior, they get no magic, but all of the combat and support. So pretty cool. Sorcerer gets all the magic. Let's see if... Yeah, same one. So actually Merchant gets access to every skill tree in the game, it looks like. Which is very versatile, as you can see. So I'm going to have a hard time picking because it's such a important choice. Such an important choice, but you kind of don't know what you want to do right away. Like, I want to... let's just see if we can pick 2 for now. Helping allies in many ways. I was thinking mobility, actually. Allows for extreme mobility so I can get around and get where I need to be. And I can provide buffs to the character and to allies. Tactic will let me shout, which can be used on both allies and enemies, and I can do strong offensive bonuses to allied characters. So it'd be more of a leadership role where you're like, you have a bunch of allies and you're giving them buffs instead of yourself. This is a skill tree focused on applying buffs of various nature on allies. A wide choice of shout actions which can be used on both allies and enemies. Statuses of any kind can be applied on allies and even enemies, allowing this skill tree to be versatile. Magic is also interesting. I could be a healer with life magic. Then there's Cunning. Deals bleeding and weakens enemies. Lower damage, but often deals bleeding or debuffs the enemies, and many skills can be used to weaken enemies, make them easier to attack, or reduce their morale. This is a critical chance one, Finesse. Precise and deadly attacks, exploiting the enemy's weaknesses. They're precise attacks and often have increased critical chance, but like less base damage. Provides a few debuffs, weakening the enemy's defenses and resistance to damage. What do we want to do, guys? For Elzarian the Merchant. Mobility would pretty much guarantee that I'm going to survive, like, because I can bounce around the whole battlefield and do what I have to do. Maybe use a bow. And I can also add buffs to my character and to allies with this skill tree. Extreme mobility, moving quickly and safely on the battlefield. That would be more for an archer build, I would think, like, or you could go like mobility and finesse. Move around, hitting everybody with flanking attacks and backstabs. I think backstabs are in the game. Flanking attacks are. Not sure about backstabs though. But what do I want to do? There's also magic. We didn't really look too much at ice. Oh. Direct damage or weaken with various statuses. Less damage but increased precision. So I might even go ice magic and mobility. That'd be pretty cool. Bouncing around everywhere and flinging ice spells. Electricity even has, ability to push all enemies in the vicinity and ability to teleport around the battlefield. And then skills can be applied to the dash that uses teleport. This is increased penetration and critical multiplier. 2 special spells to push or pull enemies, and can debuff or stun enemies. A mobile energy magic user would be pretty interesting. Or I can go like finesse and energy, have critical chance attacks with precision, and back up with energy magic. Let's go energy. Can shout both allies and enemies and provide strong offensive bonuses to allied characters. Leadership and energy. Wow, they're so good, each skill tree, like you want to just... What type of character do we want to build our merchant to be? In combat, anyway. This isn't the end of the character building either. There's another section. Life is heal. Leadership. Uses statuses. Focus on applying buffs of various nature on allies. I like that. And we can lead right from the field with finesse, prowess, raw damage and armor penetration, breaking formation, moving enemies and debuffing them. I just fear if we pick another support tree, we're not going to have many like raw combat options to attack and stuff. Let's go leadership and finesse. Why not? So again, delivering precise and deadly attacks, exploiting the enemy's weaknesses, less base damage but increased critical chance. precise attacks, and provides a few debuffs, weakening the enemy's defenses and resistance to magic. And then leadership applies buffs on various allies. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's go with that. Now we have attributes, and this isn't even the end of the character building. We have 30 points to spend. Let's see what each attribute does. Vigor represents one's spiritual and physical strength, the potential to draw energy from their bodies and use it to face threats and obstacles. Minimum action damage minus 40%, maximum action damage minus 30%. Most actions used in combat deal a certain amount of damage. Modifiers influencing action damage apply to all kinds of damage, including negative damage like healing. Negative damage. Resilience represents one's resistance to pain, stress, and adversities. A resilient individual can endure both physical and mental traumas. Health points pool 100. Health points define a character's resistance to harm. Resistance to harm. When health points fall to 0, enemies will die and companions will be knocked out. Resistance to wounds and resistance to traumas, both minus 50%, I guess, reduces the chance of being affected by traumas and wounds when losing morale or health points. Oh, okay. So it's actually 50% to both of those, and vigor. Minimum action damage is, I'm still not understanding that one too much. Oh, maybe it's a bonus of minimum. And if we raise it, those numbers go down. So it is a minus there. Swiftness represents one's capability of acting and reacting quickly and accurately with fast and precise movements or witty and timely thoughts. It affects the movement points pool, determines how many tiles a character can move by spending 1 action point. The critical modifier when landing a critical hit with an action affects scale with its critical multiplier. An evasion modifier, a character's evasion applies a penalty to the attack rolls of all harmful actions, reducing their chance to hit. So if we raise that to 3, the evasion modifier starts to become closer to positive instead of negative, along with the crit modifier, and we get 13 movement points. Awareness represents one's ability to perceive the world in all its details, understanding their implication and meaning. Maximum range for actions 10 defines the max range of all actions. If this value is too low, even when using ranged weapons, the character could be forced to get closer to their enemies. Attack modifier minus 10. A character's attack applies a bonus to the attack rolls of all their actions, increasing their chance to hit. Resolve represents one's ability to maintain a strong focus and avoid deviating from objectives and ambitions, despite challenges and distractions. Morale points pool 75. Morale determines a character's willingness to fight. Both allies and enemies will flee once their morale reaches 0. Penetration modifier minus 50% when attacking an enemy determines how much of their protection is ignored, allowing 4 more damage to penetrate their armor or other defenses. Affects the price of items sold by traders plus 40%. And selling price is minus 40%, how much a trader will pay when selling items. We're going to get some points in that. Influence represents one's ability to bend the world to their will using violent, peaceful, or subtle means. Relationships modifier affects relationships with all NPCs in the world, minus 25, and there are also factions as well, a bunch of factions. And then healing bonus minus 75% modifies the damage of all healing actions, including the morale heal. And it gives inspire courage. The influence attribute determines the range and power of a character's shout, an innate action affecting morale. So we want a higher shout range and power because we are shouting. So let's, oh, it raises that. Okay. Morale heal 40 to 70. I guess everybody can morale heal, inspire courage. We have 20 points left. Resolve. Get those trader prices better. So we get no relationship modifier at 5 and no healing bonus, but it's not negative at least, right? Awareness, attack modifier, max range for actions. Swiftness, movement. Critical modifier and evasion modifier are both at 0. Resilience, health points, resistance to wounds. Vigor. Influence, it keeps increasing the healing bonus of all healing actions, including the morale heal. And relationship modifiers plus 10, so people like you more. It's like charisma. So get a plus 8 in that, get a plus 15 relationship modifier, plus 30% healing bonus. Resolve. Now we're at 160 morale points pool, 0% penetration modifier, minus 5% for items sold by traders, and plus 5% selling prices for when we sell. And then awareness, attack modifier. Wait, which ones affects the range of the shout? That one. 8 is pretty high, I think. Awareness. Let's get that to 6. Max range for actions is 20 tiles. And attack modifier is 2. Instead of negative. Swiftness. Get some critical modifier going. Evasion modifier plus 4. Crit modifier plus 0.1. Figure. Minimum action damage minus 10%. Max action damage minus 5%. Resilience, we get minus 10% resistance to wounds and traumas. 175 health points. Let's get another point of resolve. Or maybe another point of awareness. That looks pretty good. Alright. Continue, and that is not the end. We've got talents. Choose your starting talents. Select at least one for each category. We've got 3 different categories. First is a background. Let's go through these. Upper classes. Character comes from the upper classes, being either noble born or coming from an extremely wealthy family, depending on their culture of origin, plus 1 to influence attribute. Clergy, character lived most of their life as part of the clergy and received a religious education, plus 1 to resolve attribute. Middle class, born in the middle strata and enjoyed a relatively easy life compared to most commoners, plus 1 awareness. Commoner, born a commoner and had to work for most of their life either as a laborer or as a farmer, plus 1 vigor. Criminal, for most of their life hiding from the authorities and conducting illicit activities to survive, plus 1 swiftness. Soldier, used to be a professional soldier, employed in one of the few standing armies existing in the world or working as a mercenary, plus 1 resilience. And outsider, character's an outsider, their past is a mystery and they lived on their own for many years, plus 1 awareness. So background of, maybe go outsider for something a little different. And if we go back, it'll raise our awareness to 8, which will be pretty cool. This will be an outsider. We have to then select a culture, Panavian. This character comes from the Republic of Panavia, a thriving thalassocracy ruled by a small elite of patricians. It's not unusual to see Panavians around the world due to their vast network of trading relationships. The Panavians are known for their cuisine, informal attitude, and tendency to disregard careful planning. Plus 5 relations with all characters. Culture Dahlin. This character comes from Yarsa, a vast land once ruled by the Dahlin Empire, now theater of a bloody civil war. Centuries ago, before coming to Yarsa and creating their empire, the Dalans used to be a nomadic civilization. They kept many cultural features from that time, ranging from their love for horsemanship and archery to their clothing style, health plus 20, and a Kamarite. Character comes from the Kamarite state, a statocratic democracy governing a vast territory. Kamarites come to Yarsa after their government funded a trading colony that grew into a province with the collapse of the Dalan Empire. Kamarites are known for their architecture, their discipline, their martial prowess, and their arrogance. Kind of like Panavians. Known for their cuisine, informal attitude, and tendency to disregard careful planning. Let's get 25 morale, and we'll go with Kamarite. Be a bit arrogant. And each one changes how you look, which is pretty cool. And does background do that? Not really. And then finally we've got talents here. Negotiator, prices from buying from traders minus 10%. Innate leadership, character's shout is improved as if the influence attribute value is 1 point higher. Danger sense gains 2 speed on the first turn of combat and 2 shield. Packer, prices for buying from traders minus 10%. Friendly face plus 10 relations with all characters. Runner, movement points plus 2. Men of Valor, all characters in the party get evasion up 1 on the first turn of combat, and Opportunism gains 1.0 times critical multiplier when attacking flanked enemies. I might go with that. Opportunism, we're going to try to flank enemies. And we continue, and we're still not done. There's skills. Choose your starting skills. Use the toggles on the left to switch between the 2 skill trees you chose earlier. So as you can see, pretty ornate and big skill trees. That's leadership. There's finesse. We have how many points to spend? 4. Not 4 in each, I don't think. It's 4, and that's it. So let's look at this. Devious Strike applies to fast attacks. So you need a weapon that can do fast attacks. Damage mod minus 10%. Precision mod plus 25. Critical mod plus 0.5. This converts damage into morale damage. This is Debilitate. Has a 5 cooldown instead of 4. Minus 40% damage but plus 25 precision. Penetration minus 25%. But applied to the action's target, you give them attack down and damage down for 2 turns, decrease their attack by 15, and each attack they make deals 50% less damage and consumes a charge of damage down. So they get 2 damage down charges. Pretty cool. Call to Arms. This applies to shouts. 4 cooldown. It converts damage into morale healing. And applied to the action's target, you get Courage for 1 turn, which decreases incoming morale damage by 50%. And applied to Self, you also get Courage for 1 turn. I don't think we can get up here. Oh, we can. We get this one? No. This is another one we can get. Careful Advance applies to shouts. 6 cooldown. Minus 85% damage. This converts damage into morale healing. You get 2 turns on yourself and the target of evasion up for 2 turns, which increases evasion by 15. Powerful Voice, it's a passive, gains 10% physical damage when using shouts, I guess. Unbreakable, passive, morale plus 10, and charismatic, morale heal plus 10%. Not quite sure about the morale stuff, to be honest, and I'm not sure what gaining damage when using shouts means. But, anyway, I guess we'll learn. And then finally we have the Finesse Tree, Knockback. Applies to fast attacks, critical mod plus 0.25. It pushes 10 tiles, I think. Yep, push for 10 tiles. Execute. These are for strong attacks. 5 cooldown, plus 10% damage, plus 25 precision, plus 0.5 times critical mod. Penetration minus 50%. But it's a strong attack. Engage. This applies to dashes, whatever that means. It's like movement techniques. 5 cooldown, plus 3 max range modifier, and applied to self, evasion up for 1 turn. Deadly, passive skill, gains 0.25 critical multiplier when attacking with a weapon. Strike down, passive, gains 10% punch physical damage when attacking a target that is 10 tiles or more away from their allies. Flanker, passive, gains +5 evasion when targeted by attacks of opportunity. So 4 points, I'm going to get Deadly, gaining that crit modifier. And yeah, we have 3 more points to spend in either tree in this first tier. Knockback, execute, evasion up and dashing. Attacking a target 10 tiles or more away from their allies is a little tricky. 5 evasion when targeted by attacks of opportunity. Yeah, let's get a point of that, which opens up gaining 10 evasion. And now I put 2 into this tree, maybe put 2 into this tree. Converts damage into morale damage, devious strike. Debilitate for strong attacks. Attack down, damage down, I like that. And careful advance. 10% damage when using shouts. So you would use a shout, and then your next attack gains 10% damage. Yeah, let's get that then. Powerful voice. Alright, that's our skills. And finally, guys, we have created Elzarian the Merchant. So how cool was that? There's a huge, deep, massive character creation ability, which I really appreciate in a game like this. Let's see, we've been playing for 36 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it here and say thank you for joining me. Guys, don't go anywhere, because next episode, which is going to be in a few days, not a week, but a few days, is going to show the start of the game, the turn-based combat, right away, the exploration. Maybe we get into some trading and meeting some of the factions. It's super cool. That's about as far as I got, too, was, that part. And we'll explore it together and see what's what. But super excited by this game. Check it out. It's called Dustgrave, and I hope you guys dig it too. If you do like it, please like, comment, subscribe before leaving. I'd greatly appreciate it. Shows me that you want to see more of this game and stuff like that. And also, thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys next time. So tune in then, and we'll be Gucci. So until then, guys, be well, live well, stay well. Much love, peace, and joy. Wishlist the game on Steam, as they say here. And we'll be back with some action and exploring the game more next time. So, see you guys then. Ciao for now.